The knife sliced through the air before Kyle even saw it coming. His father's voice, sharp as the blade of betrayal. "You're a goddamn failure, Kyle. Throwing your life away for some fairy tale bullshit while the rest of us bleed for real success." The words landed like punches in the gut of their cramped Brooklyn brownstone kitchen. Steam rising from the pot of chili on the stove like the fog of old resentments boiling over. Kyle's hand trembled on the counter. The script pages he'd been clutching scattering like confetti from a funeral. He'd come home for Thanksgiving, 2 years after fleeing to the anonymity of Manhattan's theater district, hoping just this once that the frost between them might thaw. But Dad, broad-shouldered and red-faced from the whiskey he'd nursed since noon, had spotted the stack of play drafts peeking from Kyle's duffel bag. The Whitaker Prize? That pansy-ass award for wannabe playwrights? Your uncle wasted his youth chasing that crap and ended up slinging burgers. You think you're different? You're just like him, soft, spineless, and headed for the gutter. Kyle's throat burned, not from the chili's spice, but from the venom he'd swallowed his whole life. At 25, he was still the black sheep of the O'Malley clan, the queer kid who'd come out at 16, shattering the illusion of their all-American Catholic family in Astoria, Queens. Mom had cried rivers. His sisters had whispered prayers. And Dad had built a fortress of silence, punctuated by barbs like, "Man up," and "Don't embarrass us." Now, with Wesley waiting in the car outside, his rock, his secret weapon, Kyle felt the weight of it all crashing down. "I wrote something real, Dad," Kyle whispered, voice cracking like thin ice. "It's about us, about fighting for who you are when the world says you're wrong." Dad barked a laugh, slamming his fist on the Formica table. "Us? There is no us in fairy tales, son. Get your head out of the clouds before you drag everyone down with you." Kyle bolted then, grabbing his coat and the scattered pages, the door slamming behind him like a final curtain call. Outside, the November chill bit into his skin as he slid into the passenger seat of Wesley's beat-up Ford pickup. Wesley, tall, tattooed, with eyes like smoked whiskey and a southern drawl that could melt steel, didn't ask questions. He just reached over, thumb brushing Kyle's knuckles, and murmured, "Rough one." "Ha! Rough doesn't cover it," Kyle muttered, staring at the fogged windshield. The Whitaker Prize loomed in his mind like a distant star, the Pulitzer of Off-Broadway, the award his family had mocked for generations, ever since Uncle Finn's dreams curdled into alcoholism. Kyle had submitted his play, Echoes in the Attic, on a whim last spring, a raw gut punch about a queer son navigating his father's shadow in the shadow of September 11th's aftermath. Rejections had piled up like unpaid bills, but this was personal. He'd poured his soul into it, every stolen kiss with Wesley, every family dinner turned battlefield. Wesley revved the engine, pulling away from the curb lined with skeletal maples. "You know what I say to failures, darlin'? They haven't failed. They're just rehearsing for the big show." His grin was crooked, infectious, the kind that had hooked Kyle 3 years ago at a dive bar in the village, where Wesley, a carpenter from Alabama transplant, had bought him a beer and confessed his own closet scars over bad karaoke. Kyle leaned his head against the window, the city lights blurring into streaks. "What if the big show's just a myth? Then we make our own damn myth." They crashed at Wesley's cramped walk-up in Bushwick that night, a third-floor railroad apartment that smelled of sawdust and take-out Thai. Kyle paced the peeling linoleum while Wesley brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, the steam curling like ghosts in the pre-dawn light filtering through fire escape bars. The play script lay splayed on the futon, Annotations in Kyle's frantic scrawl. Beat. Father exits stage left. Symbolic abandonment? Wesley handed him a mug. Calloused fingers lingering. Read me the opener again. The one that always chokes me up. Kyle hesitated, then cleared his throat, voice steadying as the words took hold. The attic smells like regret, mothballs and mildew, the ghosts of Christmases we never unwrapped. I climbed the ladder, 16 and shaking, the floorboards creaking under secrets too heavy for a boy's frame. Below, Dad's hammer pounds nails into the coffin of my silence. Wesley's eyes softened, that rare vulnerability cracking his tough guy shell. Christ, Kyle. That's you up there, raw as a fresh scar. If they don't see the genius in that, they're blind. Kyle set the mug down, pulling Wesley close. Their kiss was slow, deliberate, a balm against the night's wounds, lips tasting of coffee and unspoken fears. Wesley's hands roamed Kyle's back, tracing the knobs of his spine like braille, mapping the terrain of a body he'd claimed as home. They tumbled onto the futon, clothes shedding like old skin, the city humming indifferently outside. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets that smelled of them, Kyle traced the faded rainbow tattoo on Wesley's forearm, a remnant from his Birmingham coming out at 20. What if Dad's right? What if I'm just chasing smoke? Wesley propped on an elbow, his beard tickling Kyle's collarbone. Your old man's a hammer. Babe, good for nails, shit for hearts. He built walls his whole life. The force in Iraq, the FDNY badge after September 11th. That promotion to captain he lords over like a crown. But you're the one cracking those walls open. That's power. Kyle's phone buzzed then. A text from his sister Erin. Dad's sorry. Come back tomorrow? Turkey's waiting. He snorted, tossing it aside. Sorry's just another word for change the subject. The next morning, they drove back to Queens under a slate-gray sky, the radio crooning Springsteen, Thunder Road, Wesley's anthem for runaways. The family brunch was a minefield. Mom's forced smiles over deviled eggs, sisters chattering about husbands and mortgages, Dad nursing black coffee with a grunt. Kyle kept Wesley's hand hidden under the table, their fingers laced like a lifeline. So, Kyle, Aunt Maureen piped up, her voice syrupy sweet. Still scribbling those little stories? Or you got a real job yet? The table tittered. Dad's eyes flicked up, expectant. Kyle's pulse thrummed. Actually, yeah. Submitted to the Whitaker. Finals announced next month. Silence. Then Dad's scoff. Whitaker, that joke Uncle Finn chased till it killed him? Save your breath, kid. Real men build things, not delusions. Wesley's grip tightened. A silent breathe. Kyle swallowed fire. Maybe real men feel things too. Dad. Ever think of that? The fork clattered. Mom's hand fluttered. Boys, please. But Dad was already up, chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. Feelings don't pay bills. And that lifestyle of yours? It's a distraction from facing facts. His gaze slid to Wesley, then away, laced with the disdain Kyle knew too well. The Bible thumper's echo in a man who'd lost faith after the towers fell. Kyle stood, heart hammering. Facts? The fact that you can't stand who I love? Or that I'm braver than you ever were? Staring down your ghosts instead of burying them? The room erupted shouts. Tears. Plates pushed aside. Wesley tugged Kyle toward the door, murmuring, "Not worth the blood. Love." They fled into the rain-slicked street, The O'Malley door slamming like Judgment Day. Back in the truck. Kyle punched the dash. Knuckles blooming red. God, Wes. I want to burn it all down. The play, the family, this whole fucked up script. Wesley pulled over near the East River. The water churning gray under the bridge. He cupped Kyle's face. Thumbs wiping rain? Or were they tears? Then burn it. But let me fan the flames. Their lovemaking was fierce that afternoon. In the cab of the truck parked in a forgotten lot. Windows fogged against the world. Wesley's body over his was anchor and storm. Rough hands pinning wrists. Mouths clashing like thunder. You're mine, Wesley growled against Kyle's neck. And you're a fucking star. Don't let them dim you. Kyle arched into him, gasping. The release a catharsis, salty and shattering. Afterward, curled against Wesley's chest, he whispered, "Promise you'll stay, even if I crash and burn." Wesley's laugh rumbled low. "Till the last curtain, darlin'." Scout's honor. Winter gripped New York like a grudge. Snow piling on fire escapes and blanketing the streets in hush. Kyle threw himself into revisions, holing up in a corner of the Brooklyn Public Library, surrounded by dog-eared scripts and half-empty thermos of diner coffee. Echoes in the attic evolved. The father's war scars bleeding into the son's coming out, a tapestry of fractured masculinity woven with queer resilience. Wesley became the silent muse, his shifts at the construction site funding Kyle's ramen-fueled nights. One evening in early December, as flurries danced outside the apartment window, Kyle's phone lit up with the call he'd both craved and dreaded. The Whitaker Foundation's number, area code 212, prestige incarnate. Mr. O'Malley, congratulations. Your play is one of 3 finalists. Kyle's whoop echoed off the brick walls. Wesley burst through the door minutes later, hard hat under arm, grease-streaked flannel hugging his frame. Holy shit, babe, finalist? That's. He swept Kyle into a bear hug, spinning him till laughter bubbled free. They celebrated cheap. Pizza from the corner joint, a 6-pack of Yangling, and a playlist of Broadway anthems blasting from Wesley's ancient boombox. As defying gravity swelled, Wesley dropped to one knee, not proposal, but parody, grinning up with a bottle cap ring. To the playwright who defies gravity every damn day, Kyle hauled him up, kissing him deep, hands fisting in flannel. To the carpenter who builds my world, they made love on the floor that night, amid pizza boxes and script pages, bodies slick with sweat and joy. Wesley's whispers were poetry in his ear. You're unstoppable, Kyle. A force, like those storms back home that rip roofs off but leave the roots strong. Kyle clung to him, the high of the news mingling with an undercurrent of dread. The family dinner invite from Mom, laced with "we need to talk about the announcement." The finalists' gala was set for mid-January at the Public Theater, a glittering affair of critics, donors, and dreams deferred. Kyle's invite arrived embossed, a talisman against doubt. But as rehearsals loomed, staged readings, panels, cracks spiderwebbed. Wesley's hours stretched longer, a big Union Square project pulling him dawn to dusk. Overtime means we can afford that cabin upstate, he'd say, kissing Kyle's temple. Dream trip, just us and the pines. Kyle nodded, but loneliness gnawed. Late nights alone. He'd scroll old photos, him and Wesley at Coney Island, cotton candy sticky and grinning. Thanksgiving fails turned into inside jokes. Then, a text from Aaron. Dad's been reading your old stuff. Says it's not bad. Come home for New Year's? Bring your boy if you must. Hope flickered, fragile as a match. Maybe this was the bridge, the play as olive branch. New Year's Eve found them in Queens, the family brownstone strung with lights, the air thick with sauerkraut and suspicion. Wesley fidgeted in his button-down, out of place among the plaid shirts and football chatter. Dad clapped him on the back too hard. Carpenter, real work. But his eyes on Kyle held a thaw, tentative. Over midnight toast, as Auld Lang Syne warbled from the TV, Dad pulled Kyle aside to the back porch, breath fogging in the cold. Heard about the Whitaker. Ball's a move, submitting that thing. A pause. Loaded. Your Uncle Finn. He poured his guts into plays like yours. Thought they were his ticket out. When he didn't win, it broke him. I don't want that for you, son. Kyle's chest tightened. It's not about tickets out, Dad. It's about truth. About me, us being seen. Dad's jaw worked, shadows playing on his lined face. Truth's a luxury. After the towers, I learned that. Lost buddies. Came home to a wife scared shitless. Kids looking at me like I was Superman. I built walls to keep you safe. This life's got no walls. It's open season. For who I love. Kyle pressed, voice low. Dad looked away, to the fireworks blooming over the skyline. Yeah. And who you are. Just don't let it destroy you. It wasn't absolution, but it was close cracks in the fortress. Kyle hugged him quick, awkward, before fleeing inside to Wesley's waiting arms. As the clock struck 12, they kissed amid cheers, a stolen moment of electric promise. But January brought storms, literal and not. A nor'easter dumped 2 feet on the city, canceling rehearsals, stranding Wesley on site for days. Kyle paced the apartment, phone silent save for Mom's voicemails. Dad's proud, in his way. But think about the family image at the gala. Image. The word soured. By the time Wesley trudged home, snow-crusted and bone-tired, Kyle was a live wire. They want me to downplay it. Us. Like we're the punchline. Wesley stripped off wet layers, pulling Kyle into the shower steam. Then rewrite the joke. Babe. Make 'em laugh or cry, but make 'em feel. Under the spray, water cascading like absolution. They reclaimed each other, Wesley's mouth hot on Kyle's throat, hands mapping hips and thighs with reverent hunger. Love you, Wesley breathed, as Kyle gasped against tile. All of you, the dreamer, the fighter. The release was shattering, waves crashing till they slumped, bent, against each other. Gala's in a week, Kyle murmured. Come with me. Wesley's nod was fierce. Wouldn't miss stealing the spotlight, yet doubt lingered, a shadow in the steam. The week blurred into frenzy. Fittings for the thrift store tux Kyle scored on eBay, last-minute line tweaks with his director buddy from Tisch, and a call from the foundation confirming the winnowed finalists. Echoes in the attic stood alone now, the other 2 bowing out to underwhelming reviews in trade rags. Critics called it a searing indictment of paternal legacy through a queer lens. O'Malley's voice thunders with authenticity. Kyle framed the clipping, tacking it beside the fire escape where Wesley's work boots dried. Pride swelled, but so did fear. What if the win came, and with it, the family's recoil? What if Dad's tentative thaw froze solid? The betrayal blindsided him on Gala Eve. Kyle had dashed to Queens for one last family powwow. Mom's lasagna as bait, Dad's neutral ground as lure. The kitchen hummed with normalcy. Sisters gossiping, nieces chasing the cat. Wesley begged off, stuck late on the site. Dad poured Kyle a beer, clinking bottles with a grunt. Nervous, terrified, Kyle admitted, sipping. But excited. This could change everything. Dad nodded slow, eyes on the foam. It will. But son, there's something you gotta know. He slid a folded paper across the table, Wesley's handwriting, unmistakable. A note, dated last week. Can't keep lying to myself. The city's chewing me up. Need space to breathe. Don't follow W. Kyle's world tilted. Where, how did you? Found it in his truck trash. When I swung by the site to check on things. Dad's voice was gruff, but his eyes held something like pity. Figured you deserved the truth before tomorrow. Guy like that, he's running scared. Seen it in the barracks. Best cut clean. The paper trembled in Kyle's fist. Lies? Space. After the promises, the bodies entwined like fate, rage boiled, hot and blinding. You did this. You poisoned him. Whispered your bullshit till he bolted. Dad's face hardened. I talked to him. Yeah. Man to man. Told him a real partner supports dreams. Doesn't drag him down with doubts. He agreed, said the long hours. Your obsessions. It was breaking him. Kyle shoved back. Chair toppling. You don't know shit about us. You think your tough love fixes everything? It just breaks what's whole. He stormed out. The note clutched like a grenade. The subway ride to Bushwick was hell. Crowded cars reeking of wet wool. Every jolt a stab. Wesley's apartment loomed dark. Key turning under numb fingers. Empty. Boots gone. Toolbox vanished. The boombox silent. A single post-it on the fridge. Needed to go. Sorry. Take care of you. No signature, but the scrawl screamed coward. Kyle sank to the floor, sobs racking him silent at first, then guttural, echoing off bare walls. Betrayal tasted like ash. Wesley's touch a ghost on skin, his drawl a echo in the void. How long had the doubts festered? The overtime excuses, the late-night silences, signs Kyle had ignored, blinded by love. Dawn crept in, gray and unforgiving, as he packed a bag. Scripts, laptop, the framed clipping. The gala awaited, a stage he now dreaded. Without Wesley, what was the win but hollow applause? He texted Aaron. Tell Dad thanks. His truth gutted me. Then, to Wesley, if this is real, fuck you. If it's not, come find me tonight. No reply. The silence was damning. The public theater buzzed that evening. Chandeliers casting golden halos on velvet seats. Air perfumed with champagne and ambition. Kyle arrived alone. Tux ill-fitting over his hollowed frame. Smile a mask cracked at edges. Finalists mingled. A poet from Chicago. A monologist from L.A. All nerves and schmooze. Kyle nodded through intros. Words autopilot. The reading kicked off at 8. Excerpts from each. Spotlights carving intimacy from the crowd. Kyle's turn came last. Echoes unfurling like a wound reopened. He voiced the son. Raw timbre filling the hall. Dad, your silence is the loudest bomb I've ever heard. It dropped on my heart the day I said his name, Wesley's, and watched your world crack. Gasps rippled. Applause thundered as the house lights rose. Then, The envelope, and the 2026 Whitaker Prize for Emerging Voices goes to Kyle O'Malley. For Echoes in the Attic. The room erupted. Kyle stumbled on stage, trophy heavy as lead in shaking hands. Flashbulbs popped. Cheers swelled. But his eyes scanned the sea of faces. Strangers. Mentors. No Wesley. No Dad. Just Aaron, tear-streaked in the third row, clapping fierce. In the wings, post-win haze, a producer pressed a card. Broadway interest. Kid. This is your ticket. Ticket. The word soured. Kyle fled to the alley behind the theater. The trophy clutched like accusation. Rain starting to spit from low clouds. He dialed Wesley voicemail. That drawl mocking. Hey, it's Wes. Leave a holler. You won, Kyle choked into the beep. And you bailed. Hope the space feels as empty as this feels. He hurled the phone at Brick. Screen shattering. Then, headlights pierced the gloom. A battered Ford pulling curbside. Wesley, silhouette broad and hesitant, stepping out into the downpour. Kyle, don't. Kyle whirled, trophy glinting wet. Your note? Dad's meddling? What the fuck? Wesley winced, rain matting his hair. It was him. Swore he'd keep quiet, but he cornered me at the sight, spinnin' tales about how I was holding you back. Said a real man steps aside for greatness. His voice cracked. I panicked, babe. Thought. Maybe he was right. My world's hammers and 2x4s. Yours is spotlights and souls. Feared I'd dim you. Kyle's laugh was bitter, tears mingling with rain. Dim me? You're the only light I ever trusted. 3 years. And you ghost on a whisper. Wesley closed the gap, hands hovering before gripping Kyle's arms. I drove all night from Philly, cousin's couch, trying to sort my head. Then Aaron's text about the win. Hit me like a freight, you're the story, Kyle. My story. I ain't leavin', doubt warred with ache. Prove it. Wesley's kiss was desperation. Salt and storm, mouths fusing as thunder grumbled overhead. Kyle resisted a beat, then melted, fists unclenching to clutch wet flannel. The trophy clattered to pavement, forgotten. Inside the truck, engine rumbling, they stripped layers literal and not, rain sheeting windows like veils. Wesley's apologies were murmurs against skin. Forgive this fool. As hands rediscovered paths, bodies aligning in frantic reunion. Kyle's gasps filled the cab. Release a torrent matching the deluge outside. Never again, he panted. Wesley's weight a vow. Never, Wesley echoed, forehead to Kyle's. You're my award, darlin'. Always were. Spring unfurled gentle on the Hudson Valley cabin they'd finally rented. Dogwoods blooming pink against the river's gleam. Echoes opened off-Broadway in March to sold-out houses. Reviews hailing it, a queer American odyssey that rebuilds bridges one broken board at a time. Kyle stood ovations blurred nights into days. But the real curtain was family. Dad came to opening night, ticket bought anonymous through Aaron. He sat stone-faced through the father's monologue. I built walls to protect you, son, but forgot doors for love. Then lingered in the lobby after, suit rumpled, eyes red-rimmed. Proud of you, he grunted, thrusting a bouquet like a white flag. That was me up there. The silences. The fear. Kyle swallowed the lump. It was us. Still is. Dad nodded, glancing to Wesley at Kyle's side hand in hand. unapologetic. Heard he stuck around. Good man. A beat. Sorry don't fix it all. But I'm learnin'. Therapy. Even. Post 9/11 ghosts. They say. The hug was brief. Bone-crushing. A dam breaking. Mom joined later. Sisters trailing with husbands and kids. The clan fracturing then mending in awkward laughs over post-show drinks. Wesley watched from the bar. Beer in hand. His grin the anchor. Told you. Myths we make ourselves. That summer. As echoes toured to Chicago and L.A. Kyle penned the sequel, Hammer and Heart. A father's redemption through his son's eyes. Wesley built sets for the road production. Calluses tracing Kyle's script margins in quiet hotel rooms. Lovemaking a ritual. Slow and sacred. Bodies speaking what words sometimes fumbled. One August dawn. On a fire escape overlooking the Mississippi. Wesley knelt for real. A hammered silver band. Etched with roots strong. Marry me, Kyle O'Malley. Let's build forever. Kyle's yes was a sob. Ring slipping on like destiny. The wedding was small Brooklyn rooftop. Springsteen crooning. Dad walking Kyle down a makeshift aisle. Voice thick. You were never a failure, son. You were the bravest build I ever saw. In the end, the award wasn't the win. It was the mirror, reflecting fractures into facets of light. Kyle O'Malley, once called failure, now stood tall. Not despite the love, the losses, the labels, but because of them. In America's vast, bruised heart, where dreams clashed with duty and rain washed wounds clean, he found his stage. Unscripted, unbreakable, loved.